Hey everyone, how's it going? It is Alicia Kane here, and today I'm going to show you how I set up a Google Calendar, which is kind of boring and not the most fun thing ever. But hey Donna, how are you? I'm going to show you guys how to set up a Google Calendar so that you can get done all the things that you need to get done in your life. Everything can be paced out. You can start putting boundaries on your life so that you're not taking on too many things. You can have a realistic idea of how long things take, how much time you really have to grow your business, how much time you really have to serve your clients, how much time you really have to make money. So that's what I'm going to do, because I think that it's very important that even if you don't follow a calendar to a T, the fact that you put it in place and have frameworks to follow will give you so much peace of mind that you always know you have the power and you have the time to do what needs to get done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up right now for you today a Google Calendar of what I do in an entire week, what a week in my life looks like. This is not going to look like your life. I'm just going to show you what my life looks like and how I get everything done. And as a single mom of 7, I really have to pick and choose what I'm able to do and what I can take on and what I can say yes to. And it has really helped by having a calendar in place, even if I don't follow it to a T, like I said earlier before. I don't always follow it exactly, but it does give me a framework, because there are days that I do. And actually, probably 75% of the time I do follow my schedule. But there are times that I don't. And that is where I find the freedom in having a calendar, because some days I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this today. It's too many curveballs. But I already know that tomorrow I can pick it right back up. So I recommend using Google Calendar. A lot of people set up their calendars on, if it's an Apple Calendar, on their phones or whatever it may be. I do recommend that if you are running a business that you do use Google Calendar. The reason why that is because most scheduling apps, if you do one-on-one phone calls with clients, you book calls with, I'm trying to think any other reason, sales calls or whatever. Anytime that you get on the phone for your business and you use a scheduling app, most of those apps sync with Google Calendar. So using a Google Calendar is the most important to me of all of them that I've used. So it's like and it's free, so there's really no reason to not use Google Calendar. And you can hook your Google Calendar with your phone calendars as well. And I personally like the actual Google Calendar app. That's my favorite for using on my phone. I like it because it shows colors, where on the iPhone, it doesn't show color coding. And I'm kind of a nerd and I like things color coded. So if you guys have questions while I'm doing this, please say something and I can stop or slow down or clarify. But I'm just going to walk you through from start to finish how I build my calendar out, from start to finish, how I add things in that are important. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and what I encourage everybody else to do, if they already have a calendar and they're like, oh, I already have things on my calendar, I don't want to set up a new one, then you instead of trying to use the calendar that you're already using, create a new one by adding to calendar here and create a new calendar. And then you can turn on those tasks off and on. If you already have things that are already scheduled, you can turn those off and on as needed, so they're kind of layered. So I recommend starting from scratch doing this, because it'll help you have a better idea of the framework that you want to move towards, even if you're currently not in that place that you can implement this calendar 100%. It will help you as you're scheduling things down the road to know you're like, okay, I really want to start following the scheduling system that I have set up. How can I start easing into that and go, okay, so these are the days that I can only do appointments. These are the only days I can run my errands. You already have that planned out in the future, so that if you set this up to be reoccurring, all those things are planned out for the future. So you can transition into it even if you can't start everything right away. So the first thing is to create a new calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and do my personal calendar for you. And hopefully my internet, it doesn't go super duper slow today. legs, because it's highly possible that it will. One of the things that I learned while I wait for this, one of the things that I learned while I was doing this is that if it's not written down, it's more than likely not going to happen. So this is something that I've learned over all the years. Okay, here we go. My personal calendar. Now we've got it going. I really started scheduling my things out when I started my business back in 2007. And at the time, I had 3 little ones. They were 6, 4, and 2, and I was pregnant with my 4th. And I was working from home, and I didn't have childcare help, and I was working full time. So I really had to get good about my time, of what I could do, and be really realistic of what I could take on, and put some boundaries in place. And that's how I kind of figured out my pricing system, was because I realized how little time I really had. And so as I realized how little time I had, I realized I had to charge more if I was going to be able to make the income that could support my family. So this system has the way that I have set up my calendar is been kind of like 12 years of practice. And so it might feel chunky and uncomfortable for you if you're first starting out and you haven't really ran your business by a calendar or your life by a calendar. Just know that I've been doing this for 12 years, and it's a process. And I make it look easy, and it's easy for me because it's just become habitual. So the first thing that I do, and then I always tell people, is schedule self-care. That is the most important thing to me, is that you are well cared for. And if you're not well cared for, you're not going to care well for people. So what I do is I even in here put in my wake up. I get up every morning at 4:45, and I know it's crazy, but like I said, I've got a lot of kids. So I have to figure out my things. So I'm up at 4:45 a.m. and I'm just going to put this till I give myself 15 minutes to wake up, which basically means I can, hit snooze sometimes once, or just drag sitting on the toilet and reading, scrolling through my phone, if that's what helps me wake up, or just getting a cup of coffee, whatever it is. I give myself 15 minutes to wake up. So I do that, and then I turn it on. I come in here, and once I set it up, I come and make it a reoccurring event. So I do this a reoccurring event weekly, or let's say daily. Custom. Let's just do custom. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I do not do this on Saturday and Sunday. And we're going to repeat it every week, and it never ends. Okay? So that's where we got all that. And sometimes I'll go in here, and it could be, I always double check to make sure that it's my personal calendar that I want it on. But this one, whenever it's something that I want colored that's personal, like I said, I'm a nerd, and I go pink. So anything that is personal for me, I always go pink in my color coding. And I make it sure that it's busy so that I don't have anything scheduled during that time, because obviously that would be crazy. So now it's a reoccurring event. The next thing that I do is now I add workout. And I do that from 5 a.m. Oh, PM on all of these. Sorry, I'm opening up a snack for my daughter, guys. Sorry about the noise. 5 a.m. to, I give myself an hour, 45 minutes. I should give myself an hour, but I give myself 45 minutes because that's when I need to be back to wake my kids up. And I'm going to go in and edit. That's also my personal time. So again, that is pink. And I repeat it Monday through Friday. I do not take rest days during the week. My rest days are on Saturdays and Sundays. And it never ends. Again, busy, save. All right. So the next thing I do is our morning routine. Morning school routine. And this is going to be crazy, guys. And so my kids, they are really fast. And so they don't take very long to get up in the morning and get motivated. I only wake my daughter up at 5:45. Oops, I kind of screwed that one up. Sorry, guys. Before I move on, I have to fix this one. Oh, wait, no, that was right. 6:45 is right. Okay. Morning school routine. Okay. Sorry, I had to fix that. My kids are really fast getting ready for school. I've had a lot of people say that their kids drag, and I'm so sorry about that. But I fortunately don't deal with that. My kids are really fast for getting ready for school in the morning. But we have to get up super duper early because we live in the country, and the bus picks us up at 6:15. And so they have to be out the door at 6:15. Let's see, I guess I'm going to have to edit that. They're the first ones picked up and the last to be dropped off. Poor things. Oh my goodness. What did I do there? Oh, it goes to the next day. Let's change that. And it repeats again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For my family things, I make that orange. So I always try to keep the same color coding for things. Goodness sakes, what did it do there? See, guys, I'm not perfect. I don't even know what that just did. Why it's different on each day. Sorry. I'm going to actually delete that all and start all over because that looked weird. I'm going to start all over. Morning school routine. Let's try this again. (6:45) to 7:15. There we go. That's better. And we're going to make that orange. All my family things are orange. And I'll show you why in a little bit. There's actually a method to that madness. So once my kids are out the door, save that. Once my kids are out the door, I then do more of my personal time, shower, and I like to break my day down in 15-minute blocks. So for me, I give myself 30 minutes in the morning. Right after they go out the door that's the time for showering. So I know it's ridiculous, but I schedule my showers because if it does not get scheduled, it does not happen. I don't have anyone that is around being like, you need a shower. I don't have that, but I do like to show up for Facebook Lives and be ready for those. And if I don't do that, I more than likely will not show up to market. I more than likely won't do different kinds of things if I'm not showered. So for me, I schedule showering. I think Kate does too. So I'm not the only one. So 7:45. And at this time, I do have one more child at home. So she's 4 years old. And so she's still sleeping during this time. So I get all this stuff done while she's sleeping. So again, my personal calendar, I always do it pink. Repeat. Alrighty. All right, that's shaping up. So the next thing I do is breakfast. And this currently is something that I've been having to do for myself, is scheduling it. And for me, this is also a single mom struggle, and I don't know if this is a common thing, but I really do forget to take care of myself. So I started adding it to my schedule because I noticed that I just wasn't, it became a stress thing when I wasn't really prepared for it. And so now I schedule it because I want to make sure that I do eat in the morning, because it's really important that I'm taking care of myself, because my energy gets low really quickly when I'm not taking care of myself. And I don't even notice it until it's like, holy cow, did I even eat anything today? Oh my goodness, why do I I'm sorry guys. It keeps being janky. I'm going to try that again. And like I said, these aren't things that I necessarily follow to a T. I just try really, really hard to have frameworks. That's what this is mostly about, is the frameworks, because it's just showing my intention of this is how I really want my day to function. And it helps me be really realistic about what I can and can't do. Or even sometimes I can see, like, man, I waste a lot of time on social media. It is so easy to see time be wasted when you track it. If you ever do tracking, it's kind of eye-opening how much time you can waste. All right, so there's my schedule. Again, pink. Again, busy. All right, so now that is how my typical morning routine goes. So by 8 o'clock, I have exercise, my kids out the door, I've showered, and I've had breakfast. And now at 8 o'clock, my workday begins. So the first thing that I do when my workday begins at 8 a.m. is that I first focus on what is absolutely urgent. And so urgent tasks are things that I really need to know, what do I need to get accomplished today? And how I do that, I spend just 15 minutes in the morning doing this. This isn't a lot of time, but it gives me an idea of what my day is going to look like or what needs to be scheduled in my week. And so I do that in Asana. And that's a project management system that is free. And I make those red. Again, I make that every day. Monday through Friday. Oh, now it's doing it. And busy. So what I do is I use this free project management software, and it's called Asana, and I really love it, and I use it for a lot of my life as well. Right now I'm not showing you my personal one, I'm just showing you an example one. The personal one would be embarrassing because you would not believe what I put on my personal Asana. But I label my folder red so that during that 15-minute chunk, I know I have 15 minutes, and I just go to my red folder, whatever it's color-coded, and I just go through all of those things that need to be done that's in that red block of time. So I just go to my red. I know, it's like I have other color-coded folders which we'll have on the schedule, and I will have those, be blue, be green, whatever, and I always know during that color block of time, that is the folder that I need to go to in Asana. So I work in blocks because I do not like to necessarily micromanage my calendar down to 15-minute chunks. I do some of that, but I don't do all of that because to me that's really overwhelming. So I do larger blocks of time. So once I have that urgent task for 15 minutes, then I will do 15 minutes of just going through my email inbox. I answer emails, put them in folders, and delete. So this is what I have learned with the power of 15 minutes. Power of 15 minutes is when I see with the red how I have urgent tasks, I use my phone timer and I set my timer for 15 minutes because I'm very easily distracted. And I just set it and I'm like, 15 minutes, go. Do everything in Asana, go. And I just do those until the timer goes off. As soon as the timer goes off, I move on to the next task. And then I set my timer again, 15 minutes, then go. So this is the power of 15 minutes. And so that's when I tell people to, to just really learn how to harness that. It's amazing what can get accomplished. Incredible. So that's what I do here is that I now spend just 15 minutes. I can't spend a lot of time in my inbox or it'll completely overwhelm me, but I do spend 15 minutes every morning, and sometimes I don't have 15 minutes worth of emails. So then I'll just go ahead and put them in folders or I'll delete. And that just makes me feel so much better just spending 15 minutes. It's just so much more manageable for me. So every day, and I'm going to put this as blue because I think that's under the blue I have for my email. All right, so now we got up to 8:30. How you guys hanging in there? Any questions? If you have any questions, don't be shy. All right, so now we're going to go to business tasks. At 8:30 is when I set out I actually have all my clients, whenever I do client phone calls or partnership calls, I usually start them at 9 a.m. So I give myself 30 minutes before I do my calls I have a 30-minute buffer from email time to, because I don't want to just jump on the phone right away. I need buffers in my life. So I give myself a 30-minute buffer from email inbox to preparing for one of my calls with my clients or partners. And so I'll go whatever the task is, just going over things so I know where we're at. I'll look over in Asana if there's anything in Asana that we need to talk about. So I basically prep for my calls. So I give myself, but this is what I call block time. So every day I have 2 hours, I should say 2.5 hours block time of client partner phone calls. And that is from 8:30 in the morning till 11. a.m. And that's working in blocks. And I know that Kate has talked about working in blocks. That is how I block my time for my calls as an introvert and as someone who just doesn't really generally love the phone in large amounts of time. I only do one phone call back to back. To me, that is the most I can do mentally where I need a break. So I've never been able to layer phone calls back to back where I just hang up one and then do the next and then hang up the call and go to the next. That's not the way my brain works or my energy. It's completely exhausting. But what I do for these ones is I actually leave it open, free, if it's just a block of time. And I make all of those green. So if it's free, that means if I use a scheduling app, it's not blocking off that time for the scheduling app. So the scheduling app can see my availability and can schedule people during that time. But if I have a specific client call during that time, I will block it off. But if I'm just using it as a block of time saying like, this is my availability for calls, whether I have a call booked or not, it's now blocked off in my calendar as free. And that is Monday through Friday. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Are you guys all hanging in there? So the next thing I do is after I do that block, I always do a follow-up. And so after phone calls, I like to immediately work on some of the things that we talked about. I feel like almost every single call I have with someone has some sort of follow-up requirement. And so I always set up in my calendar after phone calls a follow-up time for me to just focus on if there was something that I needed to implement. Was there something I needed to do in Asana? Was there what was that might have needed to be done that was a product of that phone call? So I always put in, again, that buffer, a 30-minute buffer. And sometimes if I don't, like that can be like running to the bathroom, grabbing a snack, giving my daughter some attention, grabbing her things, whatever it may be. But I always give myself a buffer because I do not like to be stressed out. I hate being stressed out. And so I don't like to be overscheduled because I just don't operate well that way. So I'm going to put this as blue. And I'm going to make that busy because I don't want my scheduling app to see me as available. I want it to know that I'm taking a break. After that, I like to work on Asana tasks, which is my project management. Asana. And in that, I do if it's marketing, if it's education, if it's things that I do need to do with my website, but I go in there and I'm pretty thorough about how my to-do list in there. And so I give myself a block of time just to focus on that and work on projects. And I do that from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30, 2 hours. And during this 2-hour block, I do a lot of setting my timer for 15-minute chunks. 2 hours can quickly go by if you do not have a very good plan of action. And so I do use my timer a lot during my Asana, my task management time. And so this one, I will probably mark it as yellow because that's usually marketing tasks that I'm working on. So I'm going to put it as yellow. and I am busy. I am not free. I do not ever schedule over business time. Business is super, super important. Oh, got it. Forgot to make that a repeating thing. Business do not get interrupted. If it is marketing, if it's sales, those never ever get interrupted. I'm willing to adjust some things, but when it comes to those ones, they don't get adjusted. They are prioritized. All right. So we're now at 1:30. And next thing I do is education. I spend an hour every day, so I like to take a little mental break from tasks and do education. So from 1:30 to 2:30, I like to do education. And I think, and so I will add even into Asana all of my education that I'm currently working on. If I buy a course, I go into this course and I'll be like, here's my ad course, here's my social media, and then I'll go in and do into the subcategories all the modules. And I like to do that so I have the habit of following through on the purchases that I make and implementing them and giving myself time to do those, but not feeling overwhelmed that something is being neglected, or I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get that done, or trying to take on too many courses at one time. That's really, really easy to do when you're just having a problem with bright, shiny object and you just keep buying all the things. So I pace myself in Asana by doing that. So I do that, education. I put that as pink because to me, that's my personal time. That's important to me. I like it. All right, till 2:30. My kids come home at 3:30. So I usually spend 1 hour before they come home and I do home care. I don't have someone cleaning my house for me currently, but that is something that we're moving, and that's going to be a priority for me to outsource that, because an hour is very valuable time for me that I lose. But right now I'm doing it for myself and I have to schedule it. So I do this every weekday. I color it orange so that it's time for my kiddos. It's my family care things. From 3:30 is family time. Once the kids are home, we have family time. I help them with homework. I kind of prep dinner during that time. But this is completely blocked off to 5:30. I should probably say 6:30 because then I don't have to put that in anything else in there. 6:30. Sorry if you hear my daughter in the background. She's chattering. Every weekday, Monday through Friday. There you go. Then we start our evening routine, and this is when my kids do chores. We all work together, and they take their showers, they get ready for bed. And I have all my kids. It's in summer. This is not how it works, but during the school year, they're actually all in bed at 7:30. Even my older kids, they don't actually go to bed. They're just in their room because I really need that time to myself in the evenings. Being that I don't really have, even though I'm working a lot and I'm by myself, I really need some like mental downtime. And so I like to spend more time with my older kids a little bit in the evenings, and we chat a lot. But the little ones are always in bed at 7:30, and my older kids are in bed at 8:30. But when I say in bed, I mean like they're in their rooms and they're kind of like just doing their own evening routines. But it's become my free time after that point. Okay. Again, I'm going to make that orange. And then I'm in bed at 9:30 every night, so I can get up early. So now from personal time, this is when I, catch up with friends, whether it's texting them, calling them. Sometimes I will, I don't know what I just did there. I might run out of the house at night. I sometimes will get groceries in the evenings if I feel like I'd rather do that than save it for the weekends. I do most of my errands on the weekends because then I don't have to, take away time from work. I treat my business like if I was an employee. And if you're an employee, you don't have that luxury of just going and running your errands during the day. And so I've treated my business very much like I am employed by it, because it's important for me to treat my business like I'm an employee and respect it and honor it, and as that way. So personal time, why did that not show up? Gosh darn it. Okay, here we go again. Personal time. This should be easier. I like doing it on my phone sometimes better than setting it up on desktop, because I've just gotten faster at it for some reason. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Don't know what I did there. And it repeats every weekday. Personal calendar. So as you can see, based on my schedule, I really don't have a lot of time. If we were to look at my business time, I really don't have a lot of time to work. If I'm taking care of things that are a priority. And so, my work day starts at 8:30, or essentially 8 o'clock, I should say. My work day begins at 8 o'clock and it ends at 2:30. And so how many hours is that? It's 6.5 hours. Yeah. So, I'm not quite working 40 hours a week, but that's all I have. That's really realistic, because if I can work more, and there are times that I've been in seasons where I really have to bust something out. And so that personal time for those 2 hours at night might be doing business things. Although I do find that doing a lot of business work before bed really amps me up, and I have a hard time going to sleep at 9:30. And if I'm really amped and I'm not asleep at 9:30, it makes the next day of getting up, it just makes it really really hard. So I've had to get really good at being disciplined with those earlier time chunks to stay focused, because it's like, stay focused now, just do it, and encourage myself to do that, because if I don't, I'm going to be dying the next morning. So anyways, that is how I set up my calendar. And as far as like Saturdays and Sundays go, I don't set them up to be rigid. I keep those very, very open. And so those are usually the days that I set activities for my kids. We do a lot on the weekends. I alternate if I'm with my significant other, or if I'm with my kids. That's what my weekends are not scheduled to this. And sometimes I will do education, or I will do some business things on the weekend if I have downtime and I'm just like sitting around just not knowing what to do, which is really, really rare. But I try to be really good about setting the boundaries that I do not touch a computer during the weekends. So anyways, that is how I set up a Google Calendar system and how I use that with project management. I highly recommend that if you don't have Asana or a project management, that you add that on, because it's so incredibly helpful. Again, if you don't follow it to a T, it can just be a really great tool to help you out and just have a place to brain dump and, so you don't forget things. And so Asana, really, really great. That's asana.com. Again, that's free. And I guess I was going to show you how I also have my color coding system also matches my folder system too with my Google Calendar, that I will assign tasks in Asana that match the colors of my folder system. I really am nerdy when it comes to color coding things. I love to see things color coded. Does anybody have any questions before I jump off of this? Okay, yeah. I knew you scheduled showers. You get stanky. Yeah, that's a mom struggle. All right, well, I guess I'm going to jump off. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to keep posting them in the comments on the video. And I'm more than happy just to follow up and answer anything that you have. If there's something that you've seen in your life, you're like, hey, I have this, but I don't know how I would fit that into a scheduling routine. How would I make that happen? Feel free to keep asking. Oh, Becky, do you make up time if you get off schedule or it passes? Yes, I do. And so how I do, I have had days, Becky, that I have had complete overwhelm where I was like, you know what, today is not going to happen. I do that. And if I get off track, I usually, my catch up time is usually in this buffer of like this follow-up. My buffer is also sometimes, just in evening time, but I just don't feel like I overschedule myself. I keep things fairly loose in my life. As you see, I don't have activities for my kids on my calendar. I don't have them in activities during the school year. That's just because I'm a single mom. I can only do so much and I can only fight so many battles. And so during the school year, my kids aren't in activities currently. This summer, there is going to be activities, and I'm trying to still figure that out of how I'm going to manage all those. So you're definitely going to get an update of what my calendar looks like with kids being home and not in school. And, what's that support system that I haven't come in place, because I will be outsourcing some tasks such as housekeeping and some childcare. So my schedule might look a little bit different. And so when my schedule gets off, I might give up, my education time spot. I might give up my home care. Ideally, I don't like to do that, but when I get caught up, I can set usually my timer for 15 minutes and just laser focus and be like, you've got to get caught up. And when I'm doing in that urgency mode, I'm less likely to, just find myself just wandering on multiple tabs or scrolling on Facebook or any of those things. So I try to be really laser focused if I throw my calendar off. But again, I really am careful about not overscheduling myself so that doesn't happen frequently. But life happens, and things happen. Kids get sick. You have to run out and run errands or have appointments that aren't expected. But I try to be pretty flexible with my schedule so that I can just drag and drop things and move things around if need be. And that's what I love about Google, is that ability to be like, this isn't going to work. And just, having the ability to just drag and drop things around and being like, okay, this isn't going to work here. I'm going to move this one down and move that one up. And, and you could be like, no, just this event. Or if, later you can, you're like, okay, I need another buffer for 15 minutes. You can move things around. That's what I love about Google is you can make really, really quick decisions. If like, I want to move education around now and I want to do education at this time and I want to move my Asana time down this time. You can make really quick decisions and, you're like, okay. And then it could update them all, or it could just update that one. So that's what I do. Hopefully that helps, Becky. Sandy, there's no way to have two Google calendars mix, is there? Yes, there is, Sandy. So to get your calendars to mix, what I was saying, if you have multiple calendars going, so I just set out a template for you, but I already have, like, here's one of them that I have. That's my call schedules. And you can see that I already have, if I turn it on, you can now see my call schedules where I have these video calls for that one. Those are when people schedule them with me. And so I can just turn that off and on. But you can see that they land during those those time blocks. So yes, you can have multiple ones. So like you can turn on birthdays, but you're not going to see that because I don't have any birthdays this week. And my Asana tasks, the Asana ones that are scheduled, if I turn that on, that'll put even more. And I'm not going to show you guys that one because that's just super overwhelming. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Sandy. Becky, I'm answering yours. Okay, sometimes I end up with a Friday with most of the week stuck in there and I just resort to Netflix and do none of it. Yeah, and that happens. And so, Becky, I like to do catch-ups before the weekend because I like my weekends to really feel like I don't have this weight. And on Mondays, if it's like the urgent task. Oh, and that's another thing, Becky, which I didn't mention, is that if things get where I didn't complete them on a Friday, and they need to be done on Monday, instead of being stressed out about them on Saturday and Sunday, I go into a sauna and I take all those things that did not get done on Friday and I put them in a sauna to be under the red folder under urgent. And so those are actually the very first things that I tackle on in the mornings. So that's also the other buffer. And if it's super urgent and you didn't get a chance to do it and you've fallen behind, that's the other way that I handle that. So Fridays, if things don't get done by Friday, so that you can have that mental separation for the weekend, put it in your to-do list for urgent tasks, and you'll know to come back to it on Monday. And that is the very first things that you're going to be tackling. So that for me makes me feel good on the weekends where I'm like, I already have a plan of action of how to get caught up. I don't have to do that right now. It's the weekend. It's time to shut down. So that's how I manage that. Yes, timers are life. It's funny. I actually learned about the 15 minutes from a cleaning coach back in 2007. Her name is Fly Lady. And a lot of people, I mean, there's been people that know about her. I found like some circles that really know a lot about her and other circles that have never even heard of her. But anyway, she teaches how to clean your house. And her online course is like teaching in 15-minute chunks. And she taught me during that time the power of 15-minute chunks. And that was where I learned, like, I could clean my bathroom in 3 minutes. And a dirty bathroom just like grosses me out to no end. But I would get super stressed out that I wasn't getting it done. I was like, oh, I never get my house taken care of. And when I learned the power of 15 minutes, I set a timer. I was like, do you know what? When I'm working with my 15-minute timer, I can actually clean my bathroom in 3 minutes. So I now know when I'm stressed out by the state of my bathroom, it only takes me 3 minutes to do. And then I'll usually walk around my house with a garbage bag and, I do that during my home care time. So like I know what I can get accomplished in 15 minutes. I know I can clean my kitchen in 15 minutes. I know I can clean my bathroom in under 15 minutes. I know I can get my laundry started and thrown in the dryer in under 15 minutes. My kids fortunately do pitch out around the house. So there's not a lot of housekeeping things that I fully 100% am responsible for. But we do share the weight. And so we do those kind together during our evening routines. Where they all contribute. We pitch in, we do it together as a family. And it's kind of an enjoyable thing if you are running a business and you have children, is to make them a part of your home care routine and spending time together as a family. Like it's not always just, as much as I would love to sit down and watch movies with them all the time or read books with them, sometimes it's just us working together is our bonding time. And so we put on music and we try to make it as fun as possible, but that's part of my evening routine. So anyways, well, if you guys don't have any other additional questions, I can wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys coming and giving me your thoughts. Oh, you do know who Fly Lady is, Becky. That's cool. Yeah, it's funny. She's like, if you guys struggle with, managing housekeeping and running a business, I highly recommend Fly Lady. She's amazing for, like, I wasn't taught how to clean a house. I mean, I was, like, I cleaned a house growing up, but I didn't know how to run a house and manage a home. And I just learned a lot when I was with 3 little ones and running a business during that time. She was a blessing. All right. Well, it was great to have you guys here. I hope this was helpful and setting up a calendar. And I will see you again tomorrow. And I believe I'll be on with Kate for tomorrow's Facebook Live. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.